Good morning, everybody. Some people in history are just larger than life, aren't they? And one of those was Henry VIII, King of England. Did lots of things, but perhaps he's most famous for is having 6 wives. And his first wife, Catherine of Aragon, was married to him on this date, June 11, in 1509. Here's a map of Europe from around 1500, and England was not a major player at that time, not like the French were, say, or the Spanish. So Henry VIII was born in Greenwich, 1491, so that's a year before Columbus sailed the ocean blue, so that's one way we can remember Henry VIII's dates. And his dad and mom, Henry VII and Elizabeth of York, their two families combined after the War of the Roses to create a new family, the Tudors, the White Rose and the Red Rose. Now, Catherine of Aragon was Spanish. Here she is. She's 6 years older than Henry VIII. And early on, she was betrothed to and then married Henry's older brother, Arthur, who was the Prince of Wales. But Arthur died soon after they were married, so Catherine became a widow almost right away. And that complicated things for her dad and mom, Ferdinand and Isabella, who wanted their daughter to marry an English prince. But that prince had died, and Catherine was kind of stranded up in England. But Henry VII, Henry VIII's dad, was still interested in pursuing some kind of relationship with the Spanish. And it's partly because Spain was becoming a major power. The provinces of Spain were being united by Ferdinand and Isabella. Spain was getting all kinds of gold and silver from the New World. And it was really powerful. So Isabella, the Spanish queen, died in 1504. And that complicated things for Catherine a bit, because now that her mom was dead, that was one less person to speak on her behalf. So here's Henry VIII. He ends up marrying Catherine at age 18. Not married yet, not really trained in the arts of politics. But his dad died in 1509. Here's Henry VII's sarcophagus at Westminster Abbey. So now Henry VIII is the king, lots of things to decide, including who will be his wife. So Maximilian, the Holy Roman Emperor, basically Germany today, he wanted his daughter to marry Henry VIII. But eventually Henry VIII decided to marry Catherine, his brother's widow, and they were married on this date, June 11, in 1509, in a pretty simple ceremony. So Henry VIII claimed to be a descendant of Constantine the Great, the Roman emperor. That really didn't make any sense. There's very little evidence or no evidence of that. But another claim Henry VIII made was that he was somehow connected to King Arthur. And that's pretty fascinating. So who was Arthur? Well, probably a warlord or some kind of political or military leader for the Britons. The Britons are the old Celtic people of the British Isles, and their descendants today are in Wales and Cornwall and Ireland, in Brittany and France. And after the Romans left England or Britain, the Angles and Saxons invaded, and Angle is where we get our word English. So you have the Britons against the English back then. And Wales, which is an old Celtic part of the British Isles, was where the Tudors were from. So the Tudor symbol, the white rose and the red rose, this comes from the War of the Roses, is suddenly put on something that really went back to the time of Arthur, and it's the Round Table. So the Round Table hangs in Winchester Castle, and you'll notice it's got Tudor symbols on it, even though the table is much older than the Tudors, and that's because Henry had it repainted with the Tudor symbol, including his own face where King Arthur's face was. So Arthur Celtic, Tudors are Celtic, I'm the new Arthur. So Henry and Catherine were married. A couple weeks later was the coronation. all is looking good, but we know things are going to change.